Hello and good evening. You are watching News Plus right here on ZTN Prime. It is a Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Faith Nyaunde. A quick look at stories to look forward to tonight. Senior government officials, captains of industry and key stakeholders gathered in Blayo to chart ways of unlocking opportunities for development in rural areas. We give you some of the major talking points from the ongoing Zimbabwe International Trade Fair. About 4 COVID-19 cases have been detected in Harare. We give you an update from the City Directors of Health Services. Authorities in Zimbabwe have flagged over 1,000 unregistered schools scattered across the country. We analyzed the 2024 education report released recently. And in sport, Caps United legend and Zambian national Ian Bakala has been tipped to take over from the under-fire Lloyd Chitembwe at Makepekepe. In our top story this evening, leveraging on the government's devolution policy. This formed part of the discussion at a rural industrialization in Daba that was held at the Zimbabwe International Trade Fair in Blayo today. I compiled the following report. Zimbabwe's rural areas are poised for transformation after industry leaders, potential investors and the government made commitments to take an integrated approach in driving industrialization in rural areas. The commitments were made during a rural industrialization in Daba held this Tuesday on the sidelines of the ongoing Zimbabwe International Trade Fair. The event, running under the theme Inclusive Growth, Industrial Roots, Unlocking Zimbabwe's Rural Potential, seeks to unlock Zimbabwe's rural potential. The Ministry of Agriculture emphasized that a multi-sectoral approach and a significant investment are crucial for the successful implementation of the Rural Industrialization Initiative.
Partnerships as a way of more pulling resources together, partnerships as a way of accessing input markets, partnerships as a way of accessing output markets. So I think those are the three things that we need to look at.
The Ministry of Mines emphasized the need for beneficiation structures and projects in the communities where they operate, especially in mining communities, as a means to accelerate industrialization in rural areas.
I issue a direct call to mining investors, both the local and international. If you operate in our rural communities, you must invest in them. Previously, we were talking of corporate social responsibility. We need to speak of corporate social investments so that we empower our people sustainably, especially considering the finite nature of our minerals.
Different ministries and participants took the event as a platform to highlight their commitment to rural development.
We are committed to unlocking that vast potential which lies in our rural communities, and these are largely dependent on agriculture.
As it is, the issue of rural industrialization is key in ensuring that all provinces are at par in terms of development in one way or another. Implementation of some of the devolution strategies remains to be seen. Now, to discuss this further, we have our business correspondent, Eben Mabunda. Eben, a very good evening to you. The conference looked into ways of attracting investors and driving development in Zimbabwe's rural provinces. Now, what are the potential sectors that could drive rural industrialization in Zimbabwe, and how can they be supported?
Good evening. Well, there would be need for a great deal of investment where Zimbabwe's rural areas are concerned. A good 1/3 of the country is without access to electricity. So there would be need to ensure that there is accelerated electrification in those parts of the country. Perhaps also crossing over into renewable forms of energy, which of course would require even a greater deal of investment from this point. Would also want to look at transport infrastructure, would be important in order to industrialize Zimbabwe's rural areas. According to the African Development Bank, Zimbabwe has an infrastructure deficit of about $3.7 billion annually, which needs to be sourced. Of course, about 50% of that would need to go into the rural rural areas of Zimbabwe. Another key element would be agriculture, which pretty much is the mainstay of Zimbabwe's rural folk. And so investment in terms of there being adequate equipment to, of course, elevate the degree of the quality of the agricultural activities that are carried out there, as most of the activities are pretty much at a subsistence level, requiring much capitalization in order to take the agricultural activities there to the next level. So this would be some of the key pillars that would be important at industrializing Zimbabwe's industrial areas.
Now, Ibn, it is day 2 of the Zimbabwe International Trade Fair ZITF taking place in Blayo. Do you think that this can be leveraged as a platform to promote rural industrialization as well as attract investors and showcase local products and services?
Well, the ZITF would prove to be a strategic, of course, event to Zimbabwe's industrialization agenda, Zimbabwe's trade reforms agenda, I would put it, as you have over 60 countries represented there, and quite an opportunity for Zimbabwe to actually generate avenues by which foreign direct investment could actually trickle into Zimbabwe. According to the 2023 stats, the 2024 are yet to be collated. Zimbabwe's FDI inflows came in at about $500 million, which was a growth of about 50% from the prior year and a growth of 68% from the 2022 figures, and quite some substantial figures coming through there. And so such a platform would allow Zimbabwe to engage with the foreign investing community and explore possibilities for partnership, explore possibilities for collaboration in areas such as energy, mining, tourism, and of course manufacturing, which the manufacturing sector capacity utilization has been sailing below 55% for the longest of time. And so these would be some of the areas that Zimbabwe can collaborate with some foreign partners that are participating at this year's ZITF.
Well, Ibn, thank you so much for joining us and for those insights. Ibn Mabunda, our correspondent. Now, talking about energy access took center stage at a focused workshop in Layo, where the Rural Electrification Fund highlighted its mission not to just light up homes, but to energize rural economies, with 97% of rural health facilities now connected to the national grid. Speaking at the meeting, REF Provincial Manager for Blayo, Engineer Francis Nyikaramba, said rural electrification is a key enabler of inclusive growth, allowing businesses to emerge.
Energy poverty, which is where we focus, it's how far electricity is to people. The nearer it is, the easier it is for you to do things with it, because energy is an enabler. So we allow energy when it comes closer to them. Those who had opportunities to do cottage industry, oil pressing, milling, even mining, they then get to enjoy the benefit of more efficient or advanced mining or using better equipment because they've had energy. So to us, on the commercial side or on the opportunity for productive use, giving energy to people allows them to improve their livelihoods. On the basic level, which is lighting, access to energy allows people for health benefits, because imagine we use biogas and you've been using firewood with smoke and all that. It allows for a cleaner environment. It allows for the sustainability of the livelihoods. And to me, in general, access to energy allows for that upliftment to happen, howbeit small, but it happens because of energy.
Meanwhile, Zimbabwe's government is building on the momentum of last year's record-breaking wheat harvest of 563,961 tons, with plans to further expand domestic output in the upcoming winter cropping season. Additionally, targets have been set for barley production, with 6,500 hectares expected to yield 39,000 metric tons, and potato production, with 8,750 hectares anticipated to produce 236,250 metric tons. This push for increased production was highlighted at the Winter Crop Revolution Conference in Layo that was hosted by Zimpepa's Group in partnership with the Ministry of Agriculture. The conference did bring together key stakeholders to explore strategies for sustaining successes in wheat production while scaling up the cultivation of potatoes and other winter crops. Now, detections of COVID-19 being made around the capital. We'll give you details when News Plus comes back.
And unoona kana zvinhu zvakadayoka zvinobva zvatinewe fofa kudayo izvozvo final demand yandatumirwa nesito kadzo hanzi ndibhadhare chikwereti ndozvifambisa sei ndine urwere
wakachera iri yefinal demand unofanira kutobhadhara imba inotorwa
ndozvifambisa sei izvezvi kubhengi kunenge uchida unomirwa line pedzezvo kanzuro kuda umirwa line apa ndine urwere ndoita sei
era kutsvuka bedzi asi wakasara kudai hauzvizive kuti hakuchina zviya zvokunzi kwai kunomirirwa kuenda kumahofisi kuti unobhadhara kanzuro kanzuro yekuti unobhadhara izvozvi nemaplatforms akawanda ari paya through pay now unogona kubhadhara neEcoCash, One Money, FBC online, CBZ touch, kana kuti unogona kuita iri bank transfer cash account yavo number ndakutoiziva nomusoro ndiyo yandoshandisa every month caps 10036552211 wapedza kudaro wakutoita kuindisa proof of payment paemail pa rtgs@hararicity.co.zw zvoga izvo wakagara ipapo pauri ipapo kumba kwako unogona kutongobhadhara kanzuro hazvichamiri kwa unoenda kumaofisi
chibva watouya ubva watondiitira
utongobhadhara online
zvichiri zvokubhadhara chikwereti kubva wati neni kwati
It's an experience and a half.
What are we looking at?
Thank you guys for joining us on this unforgettable night.
Paw Patrol is on a roll.
It's Max Verstappen in the lead. The megastar is here.
Absolutely sensational.
Let's go!
It was such a success.
The rest is history.
Get unbelievable entertainment that is unbelievably easy to own. Get and stay connected to DSTV.
Welcome back. You are still watching News Plus right here on CTN Prime. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, Zimbabweans around the country ignored calls for a stay away and continued with their daily routines. We give you sides from different parts of the country.
This is Harare, the capital city of Zimbabwe. Child scouting for customers, shoppers picking groceries in supermarkets, queues at the banks, streets filled with pedestrians and traders, especially after this long holiday. It was just another normal day as people disregarded calls for a stay away.
Pari pashoko rekutaura rekunzi zvema stay away tichienda izvizvi taingozvinzwawo nezvemakuhwa zvisiri pamaplatform emedia yatinoziva tinayo like ZBC, ZTV and the like. Hatida kuona zvedu zvine effect kwatinoda kokuti taona zvakangonaka kubuda tichienda kumabasa kwedu nokuti kurarama kwedu kubuda tichinge taenda kunoshanda.
At the tobacco auction floors, it was the normal routine with farmers who traveled from different parts of the country, saying they were not disturbed by the unwarranted calls for a stay away. Business in Marondera was in full throttle. Commuter omnibuses, buses, and even the illegal mushikashika were already ferrying passengers from their homes to their business premises from as early as 7 a.m. Our correspondent in Mutare, Lutando Mapepa, gave us an update of what the city was like during the day.
Mutare residents have ignored calls for mass stay away, and it is business as usual in Mutare central business in areas like government offices, banking halls and shops. This is despite stay-away calls from rogue elements who are using various social media platforms to destabilize the country.
The second capital city, Bulawayo, was a hive of activity at the Zimbabwe International Trade Fair as people pour in the exhibition center. Wholesales, supermarkets, pharmacies, boutiques and restaurants are all operating for the convenience of the public, a clear indication that the call for a stay-away has flopped. The activity in the entire country was nothing short of usual. For ZTM Prime, I am Sitachisiwe Gwaza.
Now, Harare City Health Director Dr. Prosper Chonzi says they recently detected 4 COVID-19 cases in Harare's Hopley area and one of the patients has died. Dr. Chonzi said they have since set up testing centers at various municipal clinics as the country transitions from summer to winter.
As we are transitioning from the hot season to the winter season, we are identifying a number of respiratory infections, mostly upper respiratory infections. But the week before last, we actually confirmed 4 cases of COVID-19 in Harare South. Unfortunately, we lost one patient, not necessarily due to the COVID, but maybe due to late presentation. So far, the cases that we have now been treated and discharged, and we expect that more might actually be coming. We have pre-placed testing materials. All our testing kits are at our clinic, so anyone who does not feel too well because of respiratory with respiratory symptoms, we are urging them to quickly go to the nearest health facility, municipal health facility, where they will be treated for free.
Now, following the Pope's death, the Vatican has said that Pope Francis' funeral will be held in St. Peter's Square on Saturday. This is the same place previous papal funerals have been held. The late Pope's body is currently lying in an open coffin in the chapel of the Casa Santa Marta residence, where he lived during his papacy. Now, the Catholic Church in Zimbabwe has reflected on the life of Pope Francis, who died at the age of 88.
Tributes continue to pour in following the death of Roman Catholic leader Pope Francis on Easter Monday. These include messages on his Instagram page, which has over 10 million followers. Catholics in Zimbabwe and around the world are honoring his legacy with masses and prayer meetings. Secretary General for Zimbabwe Catholics Bishops' Conference, Father Travis Moyo, says they feel consoled that the Pope died during Easter holiday, a sacred holiday on the liturgical calendar.
As soon as we got the message of the passing of the Holy Father, the Catholic bishops in the country offered a statement of condolence and also inviting the Catholic faithful and all people of goodwill to remember and pray for the Holy Father during this time. As the Church, we are in the season of mourning, and we accompany the Holy Father with our prayers.
Pope Francis's death has been described as a great loss to the Church, but they will preserve his legacy. And this Thursday, Catholics in Harare are expected to gather for a Mass at Cathedral in honor of the late Pope.
In the Archdiocese of Harare, the Archbishop has seen it fit to call the faithful within the Archdiocese to pray together with the Apostolic Nuncio, who is the representative of the Holy Father in the country. So you will lead the Mass, and the Mass will be at the Cathedral of the Sacred Heart.
Father Fidelis Mukonori, one of the respected figures in Roman Catholicism in Zimbabwe, said Pope Francis had done a great job for the Church.
Catholic Church found it necessary that it was essential to have a man like him, that he should become the first Jesuit Pope. And we are grateful what he did within the short time, and may his soul rest in peace.
Pope Francis's funeral will be held on Saturday in St. Peter's Square, Vatican City, setting a stage for a solemn ceremony that will draw leaders from around the world. Wadzanai Sansole, ZTN Prime.
As is always the case, prior to the death of a pope, a selection of candidates known as Papal emerge as the front-runners to become the new leader of the Catholic Church. The Vatican will convene a papal conclave in which the College of Cardinals comes together to elect the Church's next head. We give you some of the front-runners.
Currently, Cardinal Kevin Farrell, who announced Pope Francis' death to the world, is standing temporarily as administrative head of the church in his role as Camerlengo of the Holy Roman Church. And while the election of a new pope is done secretly, cardinals are expected to gather to elect a successor, a process which may take up to 3 weeks to finalize. The rules of the conclave state that of the 252 cardinals, 138 qualify as electors, and only those under the age of 80 may take part in the secret ballots. Now, the following is part of the selection of well-known cardinals who have been put forward to possibly fill the role as the new leader of the Catholic Church. 70-year-old Cardinal Parolin from Veneto, who has been the Vatican's Secretary of State since 2013, is the highest-ranking member of the electing conclave. Cardinal Peter Edo, a 72-year-old from Hungary, is another leading candidate on the conservative wing of the church. And 67-year-old Filipino Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle could be the first Asian pope if elected. His left-leaning politics are similar to those of Pope Francis. Cardinal Matteo Zuppi, a 69-year-old Italian who was considered to be a favorite of Pope Francis, was made cardinal in 2019 and is also tipped for the post. 76-year-old Ghanaian Peter Turkson has also emerged as a leading candidate in recent months and was also a candidate in 2013. Turkson could be the first African pope since Pope Gelasius I in the 5th century. There is a sense that the center of Catholicism could be gravitating towards the developing world. Another African candidate who is a traditionalist and conservative is Cardinal Robert Serra of Guinea. The 79-year-old carries experience in the church's institutions. Archbishop of Kinshasa, Cardinal Fridolin Besungu, another African representative, is one of the younger candidates emerging on various lists as a possible successor to Francis. He has played a key role in the spread of Catholicism in Africa. As speculation continues, Catholics wait patiently as the future of the Roman Catholic Church unfolds.
News Plus will be back shortly. Stay with us.
Stuck on you. Ooh, obsessed with you. I'm obsessed.
With Showmax, your favorite characters now follow you anywhere. Download it today and watch the best in local, international, and everything in between.
Didn't graduate? I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoilt.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
The guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
You are still watching News Plus right here on ZTN Prime. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, Zimbabwe has 1,356 unregistered primary and secondary schools scattered across the country. This is despite regulatory frameworks prohibiting the unauthorized and haphazard establishment of educational institutions. These statistics came out of the Primary and Secondary Education Ministry's annual statistical report for 2024 that was released recently.
The report indicates that at least 1,186 of the 8,014 primary schools in Zimbabwe are unregistered, while about 170 out of a total of 3,357 secondary schools are also unregistered. This amounts to 1,356 secondary and primary schools operating without permission from authorities. Mashonaland Central Province has the highest proportion of unregistered secondary schools, while Manicaland tops as the province with the highest proportion of unregistered primary schools. University of Zimbabwe academic and education analyst Dr. Peter Kwaira says the duty to ensure all schools are registered lies on the community as a whole.
You're talking about standards having to be maintained by everybody. Well, if a school is not registered, you can't even tell even the nature of the curriculum. You can't even tell even the way it comes to safety also can come in. You know, how safe are the children, both physically and even mentally.
The government says it has been encouraging unregistered institutions to comply with regulations and get their schools registered. Primary and Secondary Ministry spokesperson Taonga Nandoro says the ministry is receiving about 100 registration applications every other month.
Every other month registering perhaps over 100 schools, mainly obviously in the private sector or non-governmental sector, whom we are registering. Perhaps our challenge now is to call upon all the public-private partnerships so that we construct more schools. It's not just about registering now. We want to create and to construct schools and ensure that we put a school within a radius of 5 kilometers within every residential area.
According to the annual statistical report, Zimbabwe has also about 1,762 satellite schools in resettlement areas still waiting to be upgraded. The country also still battles a school shortage.
Now, a review of Zimbabwe's road accident statistics during Easter and Independence holidays from 2021 to 2025 reveals a concerning trend, with the number of incidences steadily increasing and reaching a high of 384 this year. This is according to statistics released by the Zimbabwe Republic Police this Tuesday. Authorities are now exploring sustainable solutions to enhance road safety, particularly in light of a growing trend of single-vehicle accidents. With the Zimbabwe International Trade Fair ZITF week this week, authorities are also focusing on easing road pressure, anticipating increased traffic and a heightened risk of accidents.
But we are also conscious of the pressure that this time around, as we move out of Easter holidays, which was combined, by the way, with the Independence holidays, we are now going to ZITF. So we are not stepping down. We will continue to enforce, particularly on the key roads that lead to the ZITF, to Bulawayo, from all cities. And you will see our presence there. But in terms of the numbers, we are somewhat lower. Of concern, I must say, is the increase comparatively in the number of single vehicle accidents. Now, single vehicle accidents normally indicate someone either fatigued, losing control, or speeding. And those are the key factors that we are now analyzing in terms of the trends.
Now let us take a brief look at the statistics of accidents over the past 5 years. Zimbabwe's road safety record over the Easter and Independence holidays has been alarming, with a disturbing trend emerging over the past 5 years. In 2025, a total of 384 accidents were recorded, marking a significant increase from the 286 accidents that were reported in 2024 and a staggering 66% rise from the 231 that were recorded in 2021. While the number of fatalities in 2025 stood at 24, it is a welcome relief compared to the 73 lives that were lost in 2022, but comparable to the 26 and 27 fatalities reported in 2021 and 2024 respectively. The number of injuries has also been on an upward trend, with 178 people in 2025, up from 159 in 2024 and 149 injuries in 2021. The 2025 stats represent the highest number of accidents recorded over the period, highlighting the need for concerted efforts to improve road safety in Zimbabwe. Now, in other news, government says it is making efforts to improve the living conditions of inmates despite the process facing setbacks due to financial challenges. This comes as a measure to curb challenges that have long faced the prison system, including overcrowding, prolonged remand periods, and outdated infrastructure.
The government has done quite a lot in terms of trying to modernize our prisons, in that the facilities, the sanitary facilities, they are now proper to make sure that the dignity of a person is preserved, to make sure that even in the discomfort of a cell, someone must be able to go to the bathroom that has got some enclosure and that has got a toilet facility, and not just a hole as before, with flushing systems inside, not outside as the case as it was before. But be that as it may, I think efforts are being made to make sure that we modernize our facilities, redoing all of them to meet the standards.
Still in that same regard, Nyemba added that once completed, the prisons will carry out digital court processes, which will reduce the time inmates spend in remand.
We've got plans to build smart prisons, Urungwe and Gwanda. Already we've got those plans in place. And when we talk of smart prisons, we are talking of up-to-date prisons that are acceptable even by human rights, international organizations, so that prisoners live in humane conditions. And when we also say smart, we are talking of a lot of technology. They are going to be exposed to a lot of technology. There is also electronic court management, court systems. Some of them are going to be remanded from their cells or from the four walls of their prisons. Already, that has already started. We are trying to modernize. They don't have to go to court for their usual remands. They just have to do it virtually, and most of the prison services are now doing it.
A look at news from around the world when News Plus comes back.
For news, business, sports, fashion, and more.
Experience the pulse of Harare's culture and lifestyle.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, Harare's top radio station.
Join the conversation with Zimbabwe's top personalities.
Subscribe now for fresh and infotainment content daily.
Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's heartbeat.
Now, when I look at news from around the world, we start off in Kenya, where a 14-year-old girl has been killed by a lion on the outskirts of Nairobi. The Kenya Wildlife Service say the child was snatched from a residential compound on a ranch next to Nairobi National Park. The alarm was raised by another teenager, and KWS rangers followed tracks to the nearby Mbangati River, where they found the primary school girl's remains. The lion has not been found, but the Wildlife Service said it has set a trap and deployed search teams to look for the animal. In Sudan, the Sudanese government has announced that it has agreed to build UN logistical supply bases in North Darfur State in Western Sudan. The statement added that its chairman, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, also commander of the Sudanese Armed Forces (SAF), received a phone call on Monday from UN Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs and Emergency Relief Coordinator, Tom Fletcher, and during the call, the two discussed the possibility of delivering aid to al-Fashar while avoiding obstacles posed by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces or other groups. Fletcher said he also spoke to Mohammed Hamadan Dagalo, commander of the RSF, who agreed to grant the UN access to deliver aid. In Iran, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has stated that Iran is open to negotiating with the US in the ongoing indirect talks as long as the country's national interests are respected. He warned that if the US does not negotiate fairly, Iran will continue on its current path. The discussions, mediated by Oman, included a second round in Rome, with a third scheduled in Muscat. Iranian officials emphasized the removal of U.S. sanctions as a key demand, and U.S. President Donald Trump described the talks as very good, and indicated that more time is needed before decisions are made. Now, almost 49,000 patients in England waited over 24 hours for hospital beds after visiting emergency departments. This marks a nearly 20% increase from 2023 and 58% from 2022. Trolley waits, where patients wait without an admission decision due to bed shortages, peaked with one patient waiting 235 hours. About 70% of those affected were aged 65 or older. Liberal Democrats have criticized the government's handling of emergency health care and called for a task force to address these issues. The party has also called for the establishment of a task force to address winter healthcare pressures and for experienced leaders to restructure underperforming hospital trusts as to improve services and reduce waiting times. Now, over in the US and Mexico, US border authorities are facing a surge in egg smuggling from Mexico as American consumers deal with record prices exceeding $10 per dozen. Interceptions have risen by 36% nationwide, with the San Diego-Tijuana area seeing nearly 160% increase. In Tijuana, eggs sell for about $3 per dozen, creating a lucrative black market. Smugglers conceal eggs in vehicles, and each seizure incurs a minimum of $300 fine due to food safety regulations. The crisis is fueled by a severe avian flu outbreak that is affecting U.S. poultry and rising food costs from trade policies, further straining household budgets. Now, US airstrikes on Yemen's Ras Isa fuel port on Thursday have plunged local hospitals into crisis, overwhelming staff as they struggle to treat scores of wounded patients. The death toll from the strikes, which targeted the port and several concrete tanks used for storing imported fuel, has risen to 80, with 150 other people wounded. Houthi-run health authorities reported on Saturday. Now, local hospitals are grappling with resource shortages and a lack of international assistance. In hospitals across Yemen's Red Sea city of Hodeidah, southeast of the port, about 170 people are being treated for injuries that were sustained in the Thursday airstrikes.
When we arrived at the Ras Isa port dock and were getting out of the car, the airstrike started. There were 8 double strikes, that means 16 explosions. I was hit by shrapnel. Thank God I survived. I tied my leg, I saw it was almost cut off, but still hanging. I tried to crawl to a safer place while the fire kept chasing us.
There are difficulties, complications and real pain for the wounded, but the health sector, with the help of all hospitals, their staff and strong public support, will be able to handle any cases. The government and the private sector are working together to face the situation.
In Gaza, more than 11,000 people remain missing in the war-torn Gaza Strip since the latest Israel-Hamas conflict erupted on the 7th of October 2023, with many feared trapped under rubble or unaccounted for. UN estimates suggest that removing the rubble left by the war, estimated to exceed 50 million tons, may take more than 2 decades, given the current lack of necessary resources. Local Palestinian reports estimate that the ongoing conflict has led to more than 62,000 deaths from October 2023 to April of 2025. Of these, 51,065 bodies have been recovered, while over 11,000 individuals remain unaccounted for.
له تقريبا ما يقارب العام يعني موجود تحت الأنقاض. يعني بعد انتهاء الحرب حاولنا انه احنا اخراج جثته، لكن هذه عمارة كبيرة مكونة من 7 طوابق، ما قدرنا نخراجه من هان او محاولة اخراجه الا من خلال الآليات الثقيلة الباقر. يعني الاحتلال قام خلال الحرب باحراق وتدمير جميع الآليات الثقيلة اللي مكونة من الكباشات البواقر اللي تقدر يعني تصل جسامين الشهداء يعني تحت الأنقاض.
أول شيء هاجرنا على البحر وجينا هين، لقينا البيت زي ما تشوف، لقينا البيت مدمر، وطبعا تحت كان في شهداء عندنا هين. وبدنا نروح نعيش، طريقنا نعيش هنا فيه، لكن العيشة مش عيشة، هذه عيشة صعبة يعني للغاية. بدنا عن أحسن شيء اللي يعينوا اللي هي الجثث من تحت الركام، هذه يعني حرمة المية دفنه.
And I will give you some business news.
In a land where traditions run deep, where the soil holds the secrets of generations, and where dreams are sown alongside seeds, a new generation emerges. Welcome to Young Seeds. Get ready to embark on a journey like no other as we shine a spotlight on the dynamic and inspiring young farmers in the heartland of Zimbabwe.
I want to do it because plants will die, plants will get infected by diseases.
I tried to do mixed farming, that is also putting tomatoes. I have half a hectare of tomatoes.
Every 40 days it has to be giving birth.
Produce a good quality fruit size. Calves are kept in different pens, basically so that they don't spread diseases to each other.
My name is Tarios Pauke. I'm a rabbit farmer.
These young farmers are revolutionizing traditional practices, embracing technology, and finding sustainable solutions that will shape the future of agriculture. So, let's get our hands dirty.
Now look at business news this evening. Tourism is emerging as one of Zimbabwe's most promising economic drivers, but behind its growth, education is playing a key role. At Mutare Polytechnic, a quiet transformation is equipping students with hands-on skills in tourism and tech, preparing them to help shape the country's economic future. Our reporter, Cecilia Kamputa, gives us more.
Tourism is one of Zimbabwe's fastest growing economic pillars, and now education sector is stepping in to drive it even further. At the heart of this transformation is the partnership between the Mutare Polytechnic College and the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA. Since its inception, the program has strengthened the tourism and ICT departments at Mutare Polytechnic. From modernizing curricula to offering hands-on training and mentorship, the collaboration is reshaping the student experience. Students pursuing tourism and hospitality are now graduating with real-world skills that meet global industry standards. JICA volunteer Shingo Tada believes learners are not only gaining knowledge on hospitality operations, but also communication skills to showcase Zimbabwe's tourism destinations.
In Zimbabwe, I realized, yes, there are many great local resources for tourism. Yes, but some of the part is still it's not exposed. Yes, so whenever I go out, so I see the many very fascinating place, like near here, like cross culture. Yes, there could be also the tourism resources, yes, for the visitors. But in many parts there was like in the Google Map or some of there's no like no brochures. There are not many ways to know about that resources.
The impact goes beyond tourism. ICT students are mastering vital skills essential in the modern workplace. Melusi Chiposi, an IT student, says the program has opened his eyes to opportunities in tech and design entrepreneurship and innovation.
I'm passionate with design and I like visually playing with colors, balancing out colors and layouts. And I think because of my passion and my experience, it brings out a great perspective in designs when we are making our stuff, basically.
Charity Mambondiani, the college's public relations officer, notes that synergies between tourism and tech are equipping students with hybrid skills needed to thrive in a fast-changing economy.
We run a magazine, an institutional magazine, whereby we incorporate students who are interested in designing, who are interested in content. So we have student contributors in terms of content and those who are interested in design. That is why you've seen Melus from the IT department coming to play. Not necessarily that he's from journalism, but it's because she's from another department but has passion for designing. That is why we incorporate them in our club that we have.
JICA volunteer Nao Yamamura adds that the program isn't just about teaching. It's about building long-lasting connections and fostering a culture of innovation, curiosity, and cross-cultural exchange.
What I have learned from Zimbabwe, like I have gotten a new perspective about life and culture, because this is the first time for me to live in a foreign country outside Japan. So firstly, at the first time I was really, really nervous and I couldn't imagine what the life in Zimbabwe like. But now I really appreciate people are so friendly and kind, and they always treat me very, very well.
As Zimbabwe works to build a more diversified and resilient economy, the story unfolding at Mutare Polytechnic offers a powerful example of what's possible through education, innovation, and international collaboration. For ZTN Prime, I am Cecilia Kamputa.
Now, the Zimbabwean Pavilion at the Osaka 2025 Expo is emerging as one of the most popular attractions among African and Caribbean stands at the Osaka Expo 2025. Drawing an impressive average of 4,000 visitors per day, the pavilion continues to captivate global audiences with its vibrant showcase of culture, innovation, and opportunity. This past Sunday alone, over 30,000 people visited the Zimbabwean stand, received a record turnout that highlights growing international interest. With more crowds expected in the coming weeks, the momentum is only set to build. We spoke to Head of Secretariat at the Zim Pavilion, Danai Majaha, and this is what he had to say.
The feedback so far has been positive with visitors that are coming to the Zimbabwe Pavilion, looking forward to engage with Zimbabwe on areas of trade, investment and tourism. And the target is that by the end of the day on Sunday, we should have reached between 27 and 30,000 visitors to the Zimbabwe Pavilion. And as we are now getting into the second week, the focus now is on transitioning from a growing popularity to making sure that the large number of visitors translate to increased engagement in terms of business between Zimbabwe and Japanese. But in terms of visitors, we've noticed that most of the people that are coming to engage with us are from Japan, which is the host country. And the second largest group of people are drawn from Europe and also from China. So the focus as we are now getting into the second week is to make sure that we leverage on those visitors to then grow business engagements between Zimbabwe, Japan and other countries that are exhibiting here at Osaka.
Now, petrochemicals company Sasol will reduce its own coal production by a further 2 metric tons and replace it with a higher quality purchased coal, which contains lower sinks. In an update on the 9 months ended 31st March 2025, published on Thursday, the group says management has taken this decision to hold production until the destoning plant is in beneficial operation. In its financial results for the first half, the JSE-listed group says coal quality challenges are prevailing, and as a result, external coal purchases were 18% higher than in the corresponding period. And repurposing of the Twistrel export plant to a destoning unit was planned to start in February of 2025, with a shutdown of the export plant in May. Now, the estimated capital cost for the project is below 1 billion rand. And I will give you some sporting action.
They call me Racer X, or in this case, Racer J.
Put your seatbelt on.
Didn't graduate. I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoiled.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
That guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
Welcome back. You are still watching News Plus. Now, look at sport. Former Caps United midfielder Ian Bakala has emerged as the favorite to replace under fire head coach Lloyd Chitembwe, with the Zambian expected in the country this week. Bakala, who is currently working as the Zambia under-17 coach, was part of the trailblazing Caps United title-winning team, and his arrival at the club comes as Chitembwe has been issued with a 2-match ultimatum to save his job. Chitembwe has overseen a poor start to the season, in which Caps have lost 5 out of 7 matches, including their last 4 matches. As a result, club president Farai Jere has given Chitembwe an ultimatum to win their next 2 matches against Yada FC and FC Platinum, with Bakala coming in as part of the technical team during that period. Norton is buzzing as the community opened its gates to its first ever top-flight football match, pitting Moors and Dynamos. For the community, the new stadium comes with new business opportunities as well as something to smile about. We get more in the following report.
Hosting and watching a top-flight football match in their own backyard will forever be a memory that holds a special place in the hearts of many Norton residents. For some, this comes as a timely boost for their business, as they hope to capitalize on the huge numbers that will be in attendance whenever most football club play at home.
Aiwa, tinotofara zvakaitwa neMos kupinda mu Premier League. Koza tiunzirawo mutambo wePremier League muno munototi. Tinova zvabatsira kana community. Tawana business wise, tawana wokusora titandarira.
Tinopa kutenda isusu vagari veNorton tikuona kuti zvata Premier League kudai mabhizimusi edu ekutengesa hove, ekutengesa nzungu, ekutengesa zvese, ekutengesa pose patinenge tichitengesa tinenge tichikwanisa kuita sei kutengerwa. Nharaunda yedu ichakurudzirwa zvakanyanya panouya mabhora aya munotoni saka tikunzwa kufara chiitiko chaitika munotoni chaita kuti ndiite mari nevamwe vese vaite mari nekuda kweMozi FC ene uye nhasi tikunzwa kufara nezvaitika tasangufungidzira kuti Mozi ingave Dynamos nekuti Dynamos itimu yenyika hapana asingazvizive but nhasi paita very big miracle mungoni stadium.
With Mozi having a great start to life in the top flight so far, the fans hope for more good things to come as they plan to make Ngoni Stadium a fortress.
Saka apa pamanje tiri kuti amuna hapana inobuda umu serumu amuna hapana inobuda ihombe Mozi yedu ikuratidza kunaka chose nekuti timu yarohwa umu haisi timu yekutamba nayo Zimbabwe itimu hombe ndofunga mangona the game ranga riri so explosive saka tinotarisira kuti mungoni dzichafa dzakawanda haisiri yekutanga ende haisiri yekupedzesera dzese dzichauya mudzinofa umu hamuna inomubuda umu.
Tiri kufara neMozi yakatora chimutsi Mozi iri panumber 1 zvamanje Mozi ihombe Mozi iri pamusoro tiri kupisa zvamamani.
Football is the most important of the less important things in the world. To some, it is more than a sport, but a way of life. Reporting for ZTN Prime, I am Tawanda Muntali.
Now, ZIFA have announced 2 women's national junior teams to take part in international engagements next month. The under-17s to be coached by Lindiwe Ndlovu, whose assistant will be Johan Chikaola, and with Choice Dambuza as manager, will be taking part in the CASAFA Championships in Namibia next month. The under-20s were expected in camp on Monday, despite ZIFA announcing both on Saturday. In a statement, ZIFA said they delayed announcing the team as they were communicating with clubs and players first. Zimbabwe men's national under-20 rugby team head coach Sean D'Souza has said that their defeat against Namibia in their opening match of the 2025 Buds Trophy was a learning curve. The junior Sables suffered a 41-22 defeat at the hands of the young Namibians, their first loss in 4 years. D'Souza said they will take lessons from that encounter ahead of the second match on Wednesday, where they will face Tunisia at Old Harare Sports Club. Tinashe Kusema will be giving you a full preview of the game against Tunisia in the Herald edition tomorrow. Now that's all we had for you on News Plus, but before we can call it a night, a quick look at stories that made the headlines once again. Senior government officials, captains of industry and key stakeholders gathered in Blayo to chart ways of unlocking opportunities for development in rural areas. About 4 COVID-19 cases were detected in Harare. We gave you an update from the city's Director of Health Services. Authorities in Zimbabwe have flagged over 1,000 unregistered schools scattered across the country. We looked at the 2024 education report that was released recently. And in sport, Caps United legend and Zambian national Ian Bakala has been tipped to take over from the under-fire Lloyd Chitembwe at Makebekebe. That's all we had for you on News Plus this Tuesday evening. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Faith Nyawande. From myself and the entire crew behind the scenes, good evening and enjoy the rest of your viewing.